All right, this is Algebra 1B Part 1, and we're working on Unit 1, Lesson 2, I believe. Make sure here, Unit 1, Lesson 2, yes. Unit 1, Lesson 2. And we're reviewing some of the concepts from Algebra 1A, so first semester. So we'll go over a few specific examples. You get more details in the lesson, but this is meant to introduce you to the concepts you'll be learning in this lesson. So the first concept we want to look at is something called integer addition, which also includes integer subtraction, because subtracting is just adding a negative. So here's an example here. Let's take negative 43 plus 20. Negative 43 plus 20. So negative implies a takeaway, right? A negative. It's like I owe $43 instead of I have $43. They're opposite in meaning. So if I owe $43, but I have $20 in my pocket, the amount of money I actually have is the combination of those two things. And it works best to think of a number line. Now, in this particular case, the numbers are so big that I really don't want to draw a number line with 43 spaces to the left and 20 spaces to the right. I think that would just be too labor intensive. But I still picture or imagine the number line. Negatives are numbers that go left on the number line. Positives are numbers that go right. And so imagine this, if you will. We're going to start at 0. We're going to go left 43 spaces to end up at negative 43 on the number line. Now, I'm just sketching in general. And then I'm going to go to the right 20. Now, I've just gone left 43 spaces. So 20 to the right is not going to take me even back to 0. It's going to take me somewhere in between, about in the middle. So it's going to take me 20 to the right. So left 43 and right 20 is going to take me somewhere around here. Now I note that they work against each other. They're not the same sign. And when they're not the same sign, we end up subtracting. Now if they'd both been negative numbers, like negative 43 and negative 20, then we would be adding because they were working together. Right? But these work against each other. They're opposite in direction. And so we're looking for a number between negative 43 and 0. And the answer comes from subtraction. 43 take away 20, which is 23. Now, am I on the negative side of the number line? Negative side of the number line? Or am I on the positive side of the number line? Positives are right, negatives are left. You'll note that 0 is here. I'm still to the left of 0, so my answer is negative 23. So negative 43 plus 20 is negative 23. So the answer to my scenario about money in my wallet, I owe $43, but I have $20 in my wallet. That means I have a net of $23 still owing. I'm still in debt $23. Even if I pay the person I owe the $43.20, I still owe him $23. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Let's do another one. This is a multi-step problem here. Multi-step. Okay. So let's say we've got 26 plus 50. Take away 75. Take away 75. So we're going to do this in steps. PEMDAS says we add and subtract from left to right. So we're going to add the 26 and the 50 first. And again, I'm going to consider the number line here. I'm going to consider my number line. 0. Starting at 0, positive numbers go right. Positive numbers go right. Negative numbers go left. So I'm going to hop to the right 26. And from 0, right 26 is going to take me to 26. Then I'm going to hop to the right 50, right? So I'm going to hop to the right from there 50. So that's going to be more than 26. It's going to be 50 more than 26. So I'm going to add 50 plus 26. Now you don't have to do this on paper. You can use a calculator, but you get 76. So we are now at 76 on the number line because I went 50 to the right of 26. They're working together. They're working the same direction. We add. Okay, now we're at 76. So my problem now is 76 minus 75. Okay, so think of it again on the number line. I've gone to the right 76. But now I'm going to go to the left 75. Is that enough to get back where I started or go beyond? And the answer is no, because 75 is less than 76. I'm going to come back 75, but I'm going to come just short. So my answer, my number is right in here, just short of reaching 0. Okay, and what is that number? Well, because the 76 is positive and the 75 is negative, they work against each other. They're going opposite directions. We end up with, by subtracting 76 minus 5, we end up with 1. 1. And so we are 1 to the right. That is positive 1. So if I have $26 in my pocket and someone pays me $50, but I owe $75, that means I still owe $1 net, right? So that's kind of the idea. All right, so another concept is something called the distributive property. Let's look at that. Distributive property. Okay, you may recall it like this here. And this is really kind of cool here. 4 times 3x plus 6. Okay, 4 times 3x plus 6. And you're asked to simplify this expression using the distributive property. The distributive property says when you have a number multiplied by a parentheses with things added in this particular form, you can get the same result by multiplying the 4 by the 3x and multiplying the 4 by the 6. Now I'm going to write an intermediate step you don't have to write, but I'm going to write that multiplication out. 4 times 3x plus 4 times 6. And now I'm going to do the multiplication. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 6 is 24. Okay? So that's called the distributive property. Distributive property. Okay, so hopefully you remember that. All right, the next concept I want to look at is order of operations. You may recall a phrase called PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And notice I put the M and the D together and the A and the S together. They stand for parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, add and subtract. Parentheses, exponent, multiply and divide, add and subtract. Okay, so that's what the PEMDAS stands for. We do those in order. When you have more than one step in the same one, you always go from left to right. Left to right. So I'm going to give you an example here. 4 minus 5 times, actually let's do 14 minus 5. Let's do 14 minus 5. Divide 3 times 4 plus 7. Okay? And let's do that here. All right. So actually, one more thing. I'm going to rewrite it a little differently. Divide 3 plus 8 divide 2. There we go. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Okay, so PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We're going to do parentheses first. Now, this parentheses actually is not necessary the way I've written this. We don't need a parentheses, but it is important to remember that this fraction bar serves as a grouping symbol. It is a parentheses, even though it doesn't look like a parentheses. Okay, that parentheses rule applies to grouping symbols. We're going to group the 14 minus 5, the parentheses is implied by the fraction bar, in a parentheses, and parentheses comes first. So let's do that. 14 minus 5 is 9. Now you might be in the habit of combining steps. I want to encourage you to avoid that until you're really comfortable doing this. because that can lead to mistakes. Okay, parentheses first. So we've done parentheses. Now check for more parentheses. No more parentheses. Any exponents? No exponents in this one. So now we're going to check for multiplies and divides. And if there's more than one, we do them from left to right. Here's a divide. Here's a divide. Which one do I do first? Well, according to the left to right rule, I do the 9 divided by 3 first. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay. Now I still have another divide, so I'm going to do the 8 divided by 2. Notice I'm doing the division before the addition. And finally, add and subtract are the last step. 3 plus 4 is 7. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, add and subtract. And always, if you have more than one step of the same kind, you do them from left to right. Left to right. All right. So that's PEMDAS, and that really concludes today's lesson. Let me know if you need any help. Feel free to book a live lesson for extra help as well.